announcements. No smoking at church. Don't park in Brownie's Chicken parking spots. We have Christ 360 Facebook page if you want to join in there. We have streaming here that I hope it ain't on right now, but and have a good night.
Hey.
Oh, we have Bibles at the back table and sign-up sheets for testimony or baptism.
Oh, somebody brought a towel.
Oh, good.
You brought a towel?
Oh, somebody did.
And I'll turn it over to Raymond for his sermon.
Raymond, are we ready? Hello, everybody. How you doing tonight? So, for us from last week, we were talking about the parables of Jesus, right? Talking about how you put the light. You have a light. You don't put it underneath your bed so it's all dim. You put it on a light stand so everybody can see it. So I'm just going to continue with our sermon series on Luke 8. So I'm going to go through 5 different parables of Jesus. I'm going to read it all through, we're going to pray, and I'm going to break down as best I can. It's a lot to unpack, so we'll do what we can. So,
Went the wrong verse there.
no, that's right.
It's the right words, it's the wrong reference. So you're looking up in your Bible, it's 19 to like 56 or something like that.
Yeah.
Luke 8, 19, starting verse 19.
Starting verse 19, going all the way to 56. We need to stop the other lights. So starting at verse 19, Luke 8. Then his mother and brothers came to him, and could not approach him because of the crowd. It was told to him by someone who said, "Your mother and your brothers are standing outside, desiring to see you." But he answered and said to them, "My mother and my brothers are these people who hear the word of God and do it." Wind and waves by Jesus. Now it happened on a certain day that he was going into a boat with his disciples. And he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side of the lake." And they launched out. But as they sailed, he fell asleep, and the windstorm came down on the lake. And they were filling with water, and they were in jeopardy. And they came to him and said, "Master, Master, we are perishing." Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the raging water, and they ceased. And there was calm. But he said to them, "Where is your faith?" And they were afraid and marveled, saying to one another, "Who can this be? For he commands even the winds and the waters, and they obey him." Demon-possessed man healed. Then they sailed to a country of Gadarenes, which is the opposite of Galilee. And when he stepped out of the land, there met him a certain man from the city who had a demon for a long time. And he wore no clothes, nor did he live in the house, but he lived in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out, fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, "What have you to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For it has often seized him, and he was kept under guard, bound with chains and shackles, and he broke the bonds and was driven by the demons into the wilderness. Jesus asked him, saying, "What is your name?" And he said, "Legion, because we are many demons that have entered him." And they begged him that he would not command them to go out into the abyss. Now a herd of swine was feeding near there on the mountain. So he begged him that he would not permit them to enter them. And he permitted them. Then the demons went out of the man and entered the swine. And the herd ran violently down the steep place into the lake and drowned. When those who fed them saw that what had happened, they fled and told it in the city and the country. Then they went out to see what happened, and it came to Jesus, and found the man who with demons had departed him, sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. They also, who had seen it, told them by what means he who had been demon-possessed was healed. Then the whole multitude of the surrounding region of Gadarenes asked him to depart from them, for they were seized with great fear, and he got in the boat and returned. Now the man who had the demons departed, begging him that he might go with Jesus. But Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return to your own house and tell them great things God has done for you." And he went his way, proclaiming throughout the whole city what great things Jesus had done for him. A girl restored to life, and a woman healed. So it was, when Jesus returned, that the multitude welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus. He was a ruler of the synagogue, and he fell down at Jesus' feet and begged him to come into his house. For he had only one daughter, about 12 years of age, and she was dying. But as he went, the multitude thronged him. Now a woman having the flow of blood for 12 years, who had spent all her livelihood on physicians that could not be healed by any, came from behind and touched the border of his garment. And immediately her flow stopped. And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" When all had denied it, Peter then rose and said, "Master, the multitude throng you and press you. And you say, 'Who touched me?' But Jesus said, 'Somebody touched me, for I perceive power going on me.' Now when the woman saw that she was not hidden, she came trembling and falling down before him. She just declared to him in the presence of all the people the reasons why she had touched him and how she was healed immediately. And he said to her, 'Daughter, be of good cheer. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace.' While he was still speaking, someone came from the ruler of the synagogue house saying, 'Your daughter is dead. Do not trouble the teacher.' But when Jesus heard it, he answered, saying, 'Do not be afraid. Only believe that she will be made well.' When he came into the house, he permitted no one to go up except for Peter, James, and John, and the father and mother of the girl. Now all wept and mourned for her, but he said, 'Do not weep. She is not dead, but sleeping.' And they ridiculed him, knowing that she was dead. But he put them all outside, took her by the hand, and calling her said, 'Little girl, arise.' Then her spirit returned, and she arose immediately, and commanded that she be given something to eat. And her parents were astonished, but he said, 'Charge them to not tell anyone.'" That's a lot of stuff to just unpack. So let's just pray for a second. Lord, your word is truth. Your word is good. Your word tells us exactly what we need to do in our lives. I just ask that you go with us, and as we study your word and dissect a little bit of the stories, it pertains to somewhere in our lives. And it is a living word, and as long as we have an open mind and just trust in you, Lord God, all will be well. So the first part of the story is about, we all have fathers and mothers, sisters and brothers, and sometimes we're not close with them, right? Sometimes by circumstances or by, things we've done or things they've done, we separate from them. But we're only here for a limited time on this earth, right? We're only here with our family in the flesh for a little bit of time. Jesus is saying that if you do the word, you believe in God, you will have an eternity in a kingdom, in a family, right? So he's saying that the ones who believe and do the word, do what he says to do, right? Do good works, be of kind heart, be part of the kingdom. Those are his family. Not saying that his mother and brothers aren't his family, but the people that are close to him, the people that are doing his Father's work, because that's what Jesus was sent here to do, his Father's work. He can do nothing without the Father's help, right? Jesus said that. So, even though we might be estranged from our how would you say, our blood family here, we have a family in heaven that will be eternal, right? And even as our eternal family grows, because we all know each other, right? And if your other family on earth don't believe, well, that's our bad, because we have to make every effort to tell them about the good news of the gospel, right? And there will be circumstances that, maybe your family won't believe, but, you just gotta know that in your heart, you've done everything you can to do what Jesus is saying, and that is to spread the good word of the gospel. The second part of this is about you gotta think, what were Peter, James, and most of the disciples before they were disciples? What were they?
Fishermen.
Fishermen. So they spent they spent their whole life on the water. Imagine what kind of storm that was that scared them so bad. right? And, you know, as we're going through the series, Jesus has done miracle after miracle after miracle. But the people closest around still don't believe that he's the Son of God, that he's the Messiah, right? Still don't believe that there's no harm going to come to them while he's walking with them, right? You know, the wind comes up, and then they're astonished when, you know, he just gets up and rebukes the wind, and the storm ceases, right? That is amazing, that you could walk with somebody that long, and he still has to show you, okay, I got this, you know, you guys are all safe. I know you woke me up from my nap, you know, and it says to me that, you know, we have to have faith, right? We have to have faith in Jesus, that no matter what's going on in our lives, he's in control. No matter what kind of storm we have in our lives, he's in control. This is my favorite story in the whole Bible. One of them, anyway. It's about the demon-possessed man. You imagine this, you're going on a boat, right? And you got some guy in the catacombs screaming and yelling at you, right? He's naked, right? He's been bound and chained, and nothing could hold him. And what does he do right away? He acknowledges who Jesus is, instantly. See, it says in the Word that, you know, the demons and the prince of darkness and everything, they know who Jesus was. You know, right? They know he was the Son of God. Even though anybody else didn't know that. They were waiting for some, you know, when they said the Messiah was coming, they thought that somebody's going to, you know, destroy the Romans. But it wasn't like that. Right? One, the demons inside the man right away knew of Jesus' power, because they were afraid that he was going to cast them out into the abyss. Right? He was afraid that, you know, they were going to lose control of what they had. So Jesus allowed them their request of going into the swine. Right? Now the swines, that would have been that whole town, that whole region's livelihood, right? For the people who looked after the swines, you know, that fed the swines and, you know, cared for them. What would happen to the swines? They run into the lake and die. And did you see what the town people said? They found this guy who for years and years and years were in the catacombs, naked, screaming, demon-possessed, sitting right-minded, clothed at the feet of Jesus. And what did they care about? They cared about the pigs. What about the money? Now what are you going to do? Right? They were so enthralled in the riches of their life, they missed the miracle. Right? They missed the miracle of this man who they've seen for years and years, breaking chains, not being able to hold by guards. You know, that was, you know, some, you know, I haven't witnessed myself, but I know some people have seen it, that when people are demon-possessed, they have extraordinary powers, right? Imagine that, you know, you've seen that for I don't know how many years, and all of a sudden, this guy is sitting at the feet of Jesus with his right mind, being able to speak, right? Clothed. You probably haven't seen him in clothing for a long time, right? And all they care about is what their swine is. Now, Jesus does a really, really amazing thing. Instead of allowing the guy who was demon-possessed to follow him and come with him, what does he say to him? He told him to go back to his home and tell the people, tell his family, tell his people in the city, and show them what God's done for him. That's just, you know, that's the testimony we have. Every one of us has a very strong testimony. Every one of us could go out into this dark, world and tell people about, about the good gospel of Jesus Christ. What has God done for you? Has He changed you? Right? As we're going to see baptism, it's all that old stuff, all that sin, all that regret, all that misery. You don't own that. That's not yours. When Jesus died on that cross, He took your sins. He took all that stuff that you've been harboring. Oh, I'm not good enough. How can God forgive me? He owns those. All those things you did in the past that were sinful, and you're going to do in the future, He owns those. You don't own any of that. When you come to Jesus Christ and you believe that He's the Son of God, and you believe that He was killed on the cross and shed His blood for you, and you believe that He was resurrected in 3 days, everything you've done is forgiven. I find that hard to believe sometimes because one sin is greater than the other sin. No, it's all the same. Even if you're stealing a candy bar or you're robbing a bank, it's the same sin. So the next one is about Jairus. Even, the leader in the synagogue. Well, synagogue was, a place where everybody came, and the Pharisees, and they practiced the law, right? And they were totally against Jesus because they thought Jesus was being a blasphemer, claiming that He was the Son of God, claiming that He could heal people. Well, he heard from people that, his daughter is dying, and he went to her. He went to Jesus to ask Him to come and save his daughter. But Jesus couldn't get to him right now because there is a multitude of people. Well, you got to remember back in that time when a woman had her monthly, that she's considered unclean, and she was supposed to be outside the city until she got clean. This woman had the flow for 12 years straight. She spent everything she had trying to, get the physicians to heal her. But she knew that all she had to do was touch a piece of her garment and she would be healed. Right? And when she did do that, and when she did receive healing, what did Jesus say to her? He said, "Go now, you've been healed. Your faith has made you healed. Your faith has healed you. Believing in me has healed you." The last part is, after that happened, somebody from the synagogue came and told Jesus, who was called teacher, "Don't worry about coming, she died." And what did Jesus say? "Oh, we'll just go over there. Don't worry, she's only sleeping." So you got 3 of the disciples, the parents of the little girl, and Jesus and the little girl. And what happens? He rises her from the dead. Right? But he doesn't want everybody to know, because it wasn't his time. Because he was afraid at that time that people would throng him and push him toward to be glorified as king. Right? And he didn't come here to be king. He didn't come here to be served. He come here to serve. He come here to be there's a big word, propitiation for our sin. Propitiation. So that means, it means that propitiation means the cost, right? Because God has a plan. He's had a plan before the time begun. He's got a plan for us. And what is that plan? We don't know. We like to be able to take control. We like to drive the bus. Where's that gotten us? Jails, institutions, and death. But we don't have to live like that anymore, right? When you start believing and you start walking and you start reading the Word, you change from the inside out. You change your actions. You'll notice that at first, what happens is how you say things, what you talk about. You start swearing less. You start, the war stories you hear around early recovery. I did this, I did that. That doesn't matter. After a while, it becomes like a plague to you. The more you walk, the more you believe, the more you come closer, the more you read, it changes you, right? It changes you from the inside out. And then, what does Jesus say? Go out, make disciples, and baptize them with the Spirit, Holy Spirit, in my name, and make disciples. So, that's the spiel for that today.